Welcome back to another episode of Modular Wild. I'm Raul. We're going to be going a little bit further with the Megawave. If you were with us in the last segment, we looked at bank number 4 of the Megawave here. I already have it tuned into the next bank that we'll be exploring this time around. Similar to bank 4, I'm going to give you some background on this bank, number 5. It's supposed to be made to be used for cyclical sequences. And then also, I'm just reading out from the Miniwave manual that it's intended to have uses for filters and VCAs, since it has, as we will see in a moment over at our oscilloscope, rounded edges. I thought we'd do something a little different this time. I know in the last few videos we've been doing audio rate, but I thought it'd be interesting to kind of hear what kind of low frequency signals that this can produce that will allow us to modulate some things, such as oscillators or VCAs or filters, as it explains in the manual. We're going to be modulating this filter over here. That's kind of what I came up with. I figured we'd put it into self oscillation and then kind of modulate the pitch of the filter with the modulation signal that comes from here. We do also have, as I said before, the oscilloscope off to the left, and we'll be using that to kind of see what our waveform looks like that will be produced from the Megawave. Same rules apply. In the previous videos, we had to have a saw wave from here. We still have to have a saw wave from the oscillator 2 off to the left. You can't immediately see it over here, but it's 2 modules over here. So we're going to be taking this saw wave and then patching it right into the input right here. Or actually, I take that back. No, that's right, I think. So we're taking that out to the input. And then I have a cable already set up that we're going to be using to feed the output from our Megawave right here. This cable right here. It's actually a stack cable, so it's got 2 outputs. One output I'm going to be using to go into the filter, and the other output is going over to our oscilloscope, so that we'll be able to see the waveform that comes from the Megawave. So let me patch that in, and over at our oscilloscope you should see a nice little waveform populating over there. Now it might take a second or so to draw, because that's the setting I kind of have it in right now, but I just wanted to get an idea of what it looks like, and so that way you can get an idea of what it looks like. Now, before we do anything, I do want you to hear what our sound source is going to be. As I said, we're going to put this into self-oscillation, so right about there, it might be sort of piercing, so I apologize. This one's not going to be for the faint of heart, because this is going to be fairly loud. So you can see how I'm manually moving this. And we're going to use that signal that's being produced over there at our Megawave to do this same action, only it's going to be doing it with a voltage. So let me just find a little place here that's sort of in the mid-range right there. So that way it's not blowing out your ears or scaring your neighbors or your animals or anything like that. And now I'm going to take my second signal right here, and I'm going to patch it over into the input that should be giving us some modulation. And now we should hear a little something different. We can hear that our filter is being modulated, and it's going up and down according to what we see at our oscilloscope. You can see it going up and you can see it going down. Now in the last few videos I have been making reference to the Miniwave manual, which you can see in the notes of this video, that sort of lists where you can find it. So if you want to follow along, you're more than welcome to. I'm starting at waveform 0, as you can see, waveform 0, bank 5. So let's kind of go through these and just kind of hear what they sound like. So that's waveform 0. Let's jump over to waveform 1. And we should see a change over at our oscilloscope. You can see that the waveform has changed quite a bit. You can see that little dip up and down. Nice little jumps that it's got. Now if I wanted to tweak it a little bit, I could go in and Sort of adjust my input offset. So right there, it's just modulating the pitch over here of our filter. That's waveform 1. Let's go to waveform 2. There we should have a different waveform. And now one other thing I can do is I can actually change the pitch of our oscillator. It's not audible right now, but the frequency, I mean. So let me bring that up just a little bit. And you should see it change over at the oscilloscope as well in response. So saw wave is still triggering our MegaWave over here. It's just that the output now is no longer audio rate. It's actually a CV signal that we're using to modulate the pitch over here. If I wanted to go a little faster, I could take it up into audio rate, as we know. So maybe like right there. And if you look over at our oscilloscope, that's updated now. Let me adjust the settings on my filter. I'm just going to see if there's anything more interesting there. Oh, I think that's pretty good anyway. Okay, so that's waveform 2. Let's try waveform 3. And if you compare that to the one in the manual, you can kind of see that in the manual it's got a dip, and then it goes up, and then it comes back down. So if we were a little more zoomed in, we could probably see that a little bit better. But that's waveform 3. Let's jump into waveform 4. So waveform 4 kind of starts high and then goes down, and then ends at kind of a low rate. So depending on where you begin over there at the oscilloscope, you might see that sort of outline of that shape over there. Let's hear number 5 now. Okay, let's go on to number 6. This one's got a nice little jump there in the middle. Let me experiment a little bit by bringing down the frequency of our oscillator again. And you can kind of see that shape change over there at the oscilloscope. Now, this isn't meant to be high art. This is just kind of to give you an idea of the types of shapes that you can kind of wrangle out of this guy. So let's go on to waveform 7.